Greetings, my friends. It's the 21st of December 2022, and many people are looking forward to Christmas. And in my youth, I used to detest this time of year. Nothing to do with Santa. It's because, as many of you know, I was born in a wee farm just outside Portadown, where we hadn't much land, about 6 acres. So my daddy resorted to growing vegetables and strawberries and things like that to make ends meet. And one of the things he did was he reared 200 turkeys for the Christmas market. And this time of the year, the turkeys had to be slaughtered prior to Christmas Day. So we had this big shed for holding with the 200 turkeys, and a big sliding door. When you opened the big sliding door, it led onto an open range, free range area, about the size of 2 tennis courts, and it was cordoned off with chicken wire, net wire all around. So maybe on the 20th of January, the slaughter would start, and you have to starve the turkeys a couple of days before you slaughter them, because whenever you kill them, they have to be hung up to my daddy would call it season and tenderize, and you don't want food in their guts because it'll stink. So what they were hungry. So the way my dad would catch them was as follows. He would get a wee bucket of grain, and he would go out into the open range and he would rattle it, and the turkeys would come running to get the feed, and he would grab the first one. He would take it over to the big open door, and above the big open door was this big steel beam, and from that steel beam there were 6 ropes, but one rope was very strong. We called that the hangman's rope, and my dad would tie the feet of the turkey to the big rope, and then he would have the turkey dangling so the snack was roughly at the level of his belly button, and then he would get his fingers out like this, and he'd put it around the turkey's neck and go, and in a few seconds the turkey was dead, and it would be shaking and on the killer rope. And you take that turkey off, hang it on to another smaller rope, and there would be 5 or 6 people plucking away. There were 2 elderly gentlemen who preferred to have the turkeys on their knee, and they'd be plucking in full frontal view of all the turkeys out in the free range area. And when someone would say, "Right, Bill," that's my father's name, "Bill, I need another turkey," the dad would get the bucket, go out into the pen, shake it, rattle it. The turkeys would come running to the trap. He would grab another one, take it over, and in full view of all the turkeys, kill it. And my job as a kid was to gather up all the feathers. I think it started off when I was 5 years of age, and then when I reached about 10, I became a turkey plucker. I was one of the best pluckers around. And what amazed me was, inside the shed there was about 200 nails hung up in wooden beams. My dad, once the turkey was plucked, he would put a bit of a rope on the feet, and it would hang it up the way you'd see in a butcher's shop to tenderize. And what amazed me was that those turkeys, still alive out in the pen, seeing their brothers and sisters getting slaughtered and getting plucked, getting hung up. And anytime my dad wanted to catch another one, he'd bring the grain to the trap, and they would come running. And I said to myself, them turkeys are so stupid. Yeah. Now, that's just an introduction to what I'm going to talk about next. I'm deadly against the certain words I can't use, because I'm going to be banned again. So the certain words I can't use. So this video is all about the you-know-what. Now, again, I must reiterate that I am not an anti-vax person. In fact, my son David is sitting in front of me here videoing this for me, and 5 years ago when he went on his South American tour, I insisted he get his yellow fever, tetanus, and what was the other one, David, you got?
Typhoid A.
Typhoid A vaccine before he went. All my dogs, cats and horses are all vaccinated. Traditional vaccine. Now, a traditional vaccine is where you get a virus or bacteria, and you treat it in a lab that it can't reproduce, and you inject it into the deltoid muscle of the arm. So once again, if you're sick looking at this, there is the let's say there's a big arm muscle, and there are the muscle cells. Now, obviously not the scale. There is the muscle cells, and you inject the inactivated virus into the muscle cells, and they would be roughly that size there in relation to the muscle cells. And what would happen then is blood capillaries going through the muscle would see those and would start making antibodies for those viruses. Remember, those viruses are inactivated, they can't do you any harm, and they're big. Now I'm going to rub this here off. By the way, as you know, all my things are not rehearsed, they're just off the cuff. So, what is different about the COVID-19 vaccine? Big difference. What they have done, you see, is in the lab, this is amazing. Let's say this is the COVID-19 virus with its spikes, as you all know. Inside that virus, there's a little strand of DNA, little strand of genetic material. That's not actually not DNA, it's RNA, but don't worry about those two different words. And a certain section of that codes for the virus to make a spike. Right? There's genes inside you to make certain characteristics. So inside that COVID-19 virus, there's a strand of genetic material, and a certain section of that, a small section of that, codes for that virus to make a spike. So what they have done in Pfizer and all the big labs is they have made synthetic copies of that little bit there, that gene, right? Of that gene. So here you have the gene for making a spike. Now, how do you get that gene? How do you get that gene to enter your body, into your cells? So what they have done is ingenious. Just as a basketball or a football has a skin on it, every cell in your body, as you use your body cells, every one of them, 50 million of them, have a layer of lipid around them. Can you see that on the camera? Yeah, a layer of lipid. So what the smart guys have done in the big pharmaceutical companies is they have put a layer of lipid around the gene. So whenever you inject the genes into your muscles of your cells, there's muscle cells again, in comes a gene enclosed in a layer of lipid. So these guys are your cells are very particular at what they let in. So when they see a lipid coming towards them, they say, okay, mate, you're one of us, you can come in. And that's the way that the vaccine fools your body to get it to enter your muscle cells. And the idea is that once the gene gets into the muscle cell here, this muscle cells start making spikes. And the muscle cells start to look like hedgehogs, to look like the actual virus. And the bloodstream, the blood capillaries flowing through the muscles, carrying the B lymphocytes. The B lymphocytes see that, and they start making antibodies, so the antibodies are in your body. That is the theory behind the COVID-19 vaccine. And if that's all there was to it, there'd be no big problem. But the big problem, my friends, is size. Size, yeah? So, let me see now. In one vial of Pfizer, for example, there are 40 million genes. And what you're getting injected into your body, here are the muscle cells again. So you're getting injected into your muscle cells 40 million genes. But the important thing I have to emphasize here is size. Size. This is the big danger. The size of the gene is so tiny. In fact, in retrospect, if that there were the size of a normal vaccine virus that's vaccinated into your arm, if that was the size of a normal vaccine virus, the tip of that needle would be the size of the gene that's been injected into you. So what's happening is, here's what happens. Here's what happens, my friends. So I'm going to get David to hold up a big conference pair up here to take the place of the deltoid muscle. So what they do is, to get the vaccine, in that vial there's 40 million genes wrapped in a layer of lipid, plus many other chemicals which I'm not going to talk about in this video. This video is all about size. So here is what's supposed to happen. Obviously this is a big horse needle I have here. Withdraw the vaccine out of the vial. Give it a little to make sure there's no air bubbles in it. You inject it into the deltoid muscle as such. You are then supposed to withdraw the plunger a little bit back. And if any blood comes down that needle, that means you have hit a pipe in plumbing terminology. You hit a blood vessel. The last thing you want is for the vaccine to enter the bloodstream. And what if that there happens, you're to withdraw the needle and do it again. You must not put this product directly into the bloodstream. This product is supposed to go into the muscles, and over a period of time, the muscle cells start producing spikes, antibodies are made. What's happening, my friends, is because of the such tiny size of muscle cells and the vaccine, these guys are leaking out of that into the bloodstream and traveling all over the body. When they come, now, I'm opening my muscle here, my shirt here. And those big blood vessels there, where the river is flowing pretty quick, there's no big deal. But when that comes to a trickle, when that flow comes to a trickle, as in a blood capillary, in your brain or your heart or your lungs or your kidney or your testicles or your ovaries, what happens is, this here will be, let's say this is a blood capillary. These are the cells of the blood capillary. And here is the little spikes coming along in the bloodstream. If they attach themselves onto the lining of this cell here, or that one, because they're wrapped in lipid, that gene enters that cell. That cell then, after a couple of days, starts producing spikes, because that is what the vaccine is designed for. Once those spikes are made, the immune system traveling in the bloodstream sees it, attacks it, causing inflammation, causing blood platelets to come along, because that's what platelets are for, to fix problem areas. So let's say these here are the blood platelets, and they all stick together, really no big problem. But if they break off in a big clump and travel in the bloodstream and come to the coronary artery of your heart, they can block it, causing instant death. What happens is, when the coronary artery, the flow of blood in the coronary artery stops, the muscle cells don't get oxygen, therefore the heart doesn't pump, and when the heart doesn't pump, the blood doesn't get to the brain, and you die. If your brain cells doesn't get oxygen in 6 seconds, it causes death. Another thing what can happen is, when it's happening, if these here are heart muscles themselves, and the spike protein ends up in the heart muscles start producing spikes. The immune system sees it and attacks it, causing inflammation of the heart itself. That's called myocarditis. Okay? The emphasis is size. And people ask me, if I'm vaccinated, Liam, how long, nothing has happened to me yet, how long can I wait till I think I'm safe? And my answer is, I don't know. What do you mean, Liam, you don't know? You're a biologist. I says, I might be a biologist, but I don't know, because nobody knows. This is an experiment. And the sad thing is that people in Queen's University and in all the microbiologists, virologists and immunologists and all the universities and teacher training medical schools in the world all know this. Professor Dolores Cahill and I said this a year and a half ago, and we were kicked out of institutions for it. And now it's all coming to pass. And I'm going to show you a very shocking video. I mean, once that spike protein gets into the blood, if it leaves the heart muscle, this is the problem. The size is the important thing to bear in this video, is the size of the particles in the vaccine. And they're so small, they get into the bloodstream. They can pass the blood-brain barrier. They can pass from the placenta into a baby in a pregnant woman. Look at this poor wee kid here. That there is the 2 months after a vaccinated mother gave birth. Yeah, that is shocking. That is. That would make anyone cry. That's disgusting. So using my turkey analogy, they now want to inject the wee chickens. People are seeing people collapsing on the football field, on the exercise yard, all over the world, in offices, collapsing with myocarditis and heart attacks, and still, like the turkeys in my example at the beginning, when the 199th turkey was slaughtered in my daddy's farm, and there's only one turkey left, my daddy would get the bucket and go up to the feed thing, shake it, and that turkey would come a gobbling up to get the feed. My dad would grab it, pluck and pull his neck. And I couldn't understand how stupid turkeys were. There's too many turkeys out there today. Please bear in mind everything I've said. Listen, I'm going to say another thing here. For those of you who are vaccinated and don't know what to do, there is one product out there that can help you, and it's called ivermectin. Yep, ivermectin it's your insurance policy if you have been vaccinated, according to the research that I have done. Okay. Happy Christmas, everybody. Please share this with people who don't understand what really is going on. It's all to do with size. The dinosaurs have escaped from Jurassic Park. If the dinosaurs had stayed behind the cage in Jurassic Park, nothing would have happened. But they've escaped and they're breeding. Happy Christmas.